What's happening, perfectionists? My name is Russell Holiday. This is the Nothing is Perfect podcast. And today we are once again joined by two wonderful guests. First, we have our usual host, one half of the Rusty and Dusty Sideshow, Mr. Dustin Boydell, the Silver Fox himself. And today's special guest on the podcast is a man you'll know from YouTube. He's got over 650 videos on YouTube and over 300,000 views for his Canucks content, none other than Canucksland. Today, we get to talk about the updates and finalization of the Abbotsford Canucks coaching staff. We're also going to talk about the practice facility MOU that was signed by the Vancouver Canucks and the City of Vancouver. We'll get some reaction from three different Vancouver minor hockey associations that are concerned about the use of Britannia. We'll also get into the summer showcase that has Caleb Maholcha, Braden Coots, and Brooks Rogowski playing for the Vancouver Canucks there at this summer international tournament, and so much more. So stay tuned here on the Nothing is Perfect podcast. Welcome, everyone, as I mentioned, to the Nothing is Perfect podcast today with Dustin Boydell and Canucksland. We have lots to talk about, but we're very excited to have you guys. What is happening? Dustin, how are you doing so far today?
Good day, gentlemen. It's good to see you all. I hope everyone's still enjoying their summer. Russ, obviously, we talk every week. Canuckland, good to see you. Hope you're having a good summer as well. Obviously, not much going on unless you're a big baseball fan, but here we are, slowly getting Canucks news. So there's always just a little bit to talk about to keep our listeners interested, and us as well.
Yeah, Canucksland, it's been pretty hard to stay with this news because, man, like Dustin was saying just before we got started, it was a tough season for the Canucks as an organization, eh?
Yeah, and then when you make 600 videos on the Vancouver Canucks, at a certain point in like a year and like what, not even a year and a half, you get a little burnt out from talking Vancouver Canucks, but we're fighting through it.
Yeah. But like Dustin said, we got a little bit of news pretty much every week. It's usually right after we finish recording. So it's kind of funny. We actually have some news that hasn't been happening right after we recorded. It's a couple days after. So we're going to be going through the finalization of the Abbotsford Canucks coaching staff. They got another assistant coach, a video coach. We're going to talk about the practice facility MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding. So the Canucks and the City of Vancouver have gotten into discussing what will it look like to have their practice facility being built at Britannia. There was a very quick response from the Vancouver minor hockey leagues or the minor hockey associations. Three of them got together because they were very concerned with the wording about it and whether or not that was going to remove some ice time for the minor hockey players and associations in Vancouver, with Britannia being a very big part of that. And then as well, we're going to touch on the summer showcase that nobody's been watching because it is way too expensive. So we will get you the highlights, though, with a number of Vancouver Canucks prospects featuring highly for their nations out there playing summer hockey in July and August for some reason. It's crazy stuff. And then as well, we'll get a little bit more from Canuckland on the offseason in general for the Canucks, because we have not gotten his take on what he's thinking about all the moves so far with regards to all of the signings and free agency and drafts and new coaches and all that kind of stuff. So we got everything covered for you coming up here on the Nothing is Perfect podcast. So let's start off by talking about the Abby Canucks coaching staff finally getting filled out. So Dustin, you mentioned that you had a little bit of a background of looking at the new Abby Canucks assistant coach, Mark O'Leary. What can you tell us about what you know about him?
Well, it was just a brief look. I had recognized the name when the announcement came out because I had looked into the Moose Jaw organization. My nephew has been invited to their main training camp for the WHL season, so I was interested to see who was there and kind of what the history was with the Warriors, because I don't follow Moose Jaw. I don't follow WHL super closely, being so involved with Abbotsford and Vancouver Canucks now. It's hard to do. You get spread pretty thin. I mean, that's why there's guys dedicated to junior hockey and specific levels. it gets information overload. But when I recognized the name, it clicked, and then reading more about him, you realize the impact he had on the Warriors Association. He started as an assistant coach, got promoted in 2019, 2020 to head coach. I believe he started as assistant in 2012. 2013 was when he was first hired with the organization. So very long time employee of the Warriors organization. So I'm sure he will be missed by them. But from what I read about him and what I saw from a couple of little interview snippets, it sounds like he's the type of coach that wants to be a great teacher, wants to create the right culture. Echoes a lot of what we've already heard from Papionu, Manny Malhotra, Ryan Johnson, and the Sedins about the family and winning together and building from the bottom up. Basically full organizational reset. It almost feels like it's weird because over the summer with all the changes, considering how bad last year was, and even the year before that, how it all kind of started tumbling down, it almost feels like we were an expansion team. And this is like a full reset just with the big 180 from the last day of the season to like right now. Most Canucks fans should feel a 180 shift in the way we're communicated to as fans and the respect we feel more as fans already. I just think it's great, and I hope that people are excited as well about the Abbotsford Canucks coaching staff, because Canucksland obviously takes in all of the Abbotsford Canucks games, or as many as he can. So how are you feeling with the full set of staff now finally established?
As much as I don't know a lot about them, I really like the direction they're going in. Mainly when I first saw the winning pedigree of the head coach that they brought in, Ryan. There
Papionu.
we go. He's down on my. I don't know if he's below me on the screen for the video, but he's below me in Zoom. He's got an RBC Cup championship. One, two. Let's see. One, two, three AJHL Coaches of the Years, five AJHL championships, three Centennial Cup championships, and then his first season, which was last year with the Wheeling Nailers, they went all the way to the conference finals and had 43 wins, I believe. So I don't know if it was an immediate turnaround for them. Let me just go if my computer will load. Um, let's see. Division final semi or division semifinals loss, so they're close. They're still like a playoff team, but still, he came in and he kept them on the road of what they were. Even got them a little bit ahead, and now he gets to join the Abbotsford Canucks and hopefully do great things. I mean, with how it went last season, I wish him luck if there's that many injuries like there was, because it was just so hard to keep a constructed lineup together, get chemistry going with a lot of the guys. Uh, but from the signings I've seen in Abbotsford and now getting a good, solid new coaching staff down there, I'm really excited.
Yeah, so they got head coach Ryan Papawanu, Mark O'Leary, Harry Mahesh returns as well. Justin Pogge's still there as the goaltending coach. And then Lucas Bourdon was the other guy who was just hired. He is their new video coach after Andrew Shaw got promoted up to the Vancouver Canucks. So Lucas Bourdon spent the last couple of years in the Chilliwack Chiefs, so in Dustin's neck of the woods, as their video coach. He also spent some time working with the it's called the Valley Thunderbirds, I think it is. Yeah, the Fraser Valley Thunderbirds of the BCEHL. So he's been doing video coaching for quite a while. Young guy too, so he's only 23 years old, which I do kind of like, because I feel like, you might get a little bit more of that youthful enthusiasm, a little bit more forward thinking, probably more on the cutting edge of what's been happening when it comes to the video coaching. So without knowing too much about Mr. Lucas Bourdon, I'm very excited to see what he can do. And obviously a nice big promotion going from junior hockey all the way up to being a professional AHL video coach. So that should be very cool for him. But in general, I think I'm really starting to like the looks of this Abbotsford Canucks coaching team with a bunch of winning culture, right? Like you said, Ryan Papawanu, Mark O'Leary has done his fair share of winning. Having Harry Mahesh coming back, we have mentioned that before, is going to create that continuity with some of the players that will be coming back to play in Abbotsford. And yeah, right now to have that full coaching staff and support staff put together, Richard Seeley has been a very busy man when it comes to the coaching staff and the hiring and firing and signing new players and stuff like that. So it's been great to see Richard Seeley doing his work. Dustin, what are your thoughts on the full coaching staff as it's composed right now?
I think it's really nice that the Harry Mahesh stayed on to kind of help these young, new coaches new to professional hockey. I mean, Papiano has the 1 year experience in the ECHL. However, that's not a ton. I wouldn't say Mahesh has a ton of experience either, but he knows all the prospects, knows all the players. Good transitional year to have him on. Maybe he moves on next year to a different role somewhere with another team or bumps up to the big team. Who knows what happens? But I think it's a great thing to have him there. Ryan O'Leary obviously will step in and take over Jordan Smith's role
Mark O'Leary.
Mark O'Leary will step in. Combine Papiano and Mark's. He'll take over Jordan Smith's role as defensive coach, and I just think it's good. Pogge has been doing great work with the goaltenders. You don't want to bring in a new guy when you've had good results. We've seen guys excelling in the AHL in the crease with their work with Pogge, so good choice there. And I would be remiss as a Canucks fan not to say and not to bring up the weird life has a funny way of having odd connections. Obviously, the Vancouver Canucks had a prospect, defensive prospect, years back named Luke Bourdon, that was lost in a unfortunate motorcycle accident. And to now have a 23-year-old video coach named Lucas Bourdon, or I don't know if he pronounces it with the French pronunciation. It might be Borden. Who knows? I don't know that information yet, but even still, it's an odd connection. One of those weird fate things, almost like he's the second coming of something that was bad now is turning into something good. So it's just kind of the way that the organization has felt. That's the weird universal shift and the stars aligning type of stuff. Finally, that I've never really felt as a Canucks fan. It's like, yeah, we've made some good moves. We've had some really good teams, but this feels like we're really trying to build something from the ground up, which, it feels like we've been chipping from the top down for a long time. And to go back and sound like you're going to do it the right way, and with guys that you can trust when they give you their word, they're going to do something a certain way, and have the owners respect because they were players for this team and gave their blood, sweat, and tears to try and get that championship. They all have kind of unfinished business. So to create a winning culture and a community culture, I'm really excited for both Abbotsford and Vancouver.
Canucksland, do you find it interesting? Pretty much everyone we've seen hired in Vancouver and in Abbotsford are all former hockey players, but none of them seem to be former, like, really high level guys, right? These guys are all the ones who were grinding out BCHL, ECHL, AHL careers. They were all guys who had to fight tooth and nail to even make it in a European league. Do you think that brings something to their ability to show the Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL what it takes to stay in the league and become successful players?
Yeah, definitely, especially with the league below the NHL, where the consistency of sticking in that league is minimal. I mean, how many AHL players do we hear hit 1,000 games? And when we do hear those guys hit 1,000 games, we're like, wow, that's actually really impressive. Still, like a younger coaching staff as well, I would say. I mean, Lucas Bourdon, I just looked up, he's my age.
Yeah, 23.
He's only 23, and he's worked with the Chilliwack Chiefs and Brian Maloney over there, which, of course, Caleb Mahotra came out of there to the Brantford Bulldogs. He was there. That's the year he joined, actually, was Caleb Mahotra's year. Um, I mean, I like it. I think it's good. You got to have that sort of leadership in the same way that in the same situation you're in, right? The NHL, of course, you could go for former NHLers. They know what it's like to grind in the hardest league in the world. The guys who worked their ways and kept their ways in lower divisions, even though they are higher leagues. It's a good way to have mentors and a good way to establish relationships, especially with the players that might be on the fringes of the NHL and the AHL, not knowing if they'll have a full NHL career.
Well, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned like obviously Lucas Bourdon was the same age as you. The rest of the coaching staff are all around my age, right? You got Ryan Papawannu is 42 years old. Marco Leary is exactly my age. He is 41 years old. He's a 1985 baby. So Harry Mahesh is 38. So you have a whole bunch of guys who are on the younger side when it comes to coaches. And I think that was a huge part
Mhm.
of what they were looking for to make sure that they have people that are going to grow with the team. Like Dustin, you've mentioned that a couple times, right? We got a very young coaching staff at both levels now, but that's not necessarily going to be a bad thing as these guys can grow and learn with the players that they're coaching as well.
Absolutely. And historically, most successful businesses promote from within, right? You
Mhm.
train guys and you get them ready to continue their careers with your organization. There's nothing worse than creating these great coaches at the junior level and seeing them get shipped off and continuing to hire recycled voices time after time after time. Um, the league has changed and it continues to change. I mean, that's everything. I mean, the NBA continues to change. MLB continues to change. I mean, look at the rule changes within the MLB now. I mean, batters can challenge strikes and ball calls right in the batter's box. Like you get two per game, and it's just everything needs to evolve. And I think some of the voices in coaching, there just comes a time you need to retire. I mean, people like Scotty Bowman, I mean, he could have continued coaching, but he stepped away when he felt like the game was kind of moving beyond his ability to be an effective coach. That's, recognizing that things are changing. And I think there's some coaches that try to keep a grasp on, oh, the way it used to be, and it just doesn't work anymore. All the successful teams lately have had younger, new voice coaches or, um, guys that haven't had a chance really at having that big crack. So I appreciate what the Canucks are doing here. And I appreciate the fact that they rewarded Ryan Johnson for his 10 years with the organization by promoting him to GM. And I know everyone is worried about the financial position of the Canucks, but we have to remember as Canucks fans, like there is some financial reasons that this is happening. Like you have to go beyond hockey as a hockey fan to understand why certain decisions are made. For the Vancouver Canucks, their revenue is in Canadian dollars, but when they pay every employee because they're employees of the NHL, technically, the NHL is a US based company. So every player's paycheck is in US dollars. So they take their revenue, they convert it to US, and then they pay it out. So they're already taking a big hit off their revenue by transferring it into the US dollars to pay their employees. When you look at the projected market right now, where the Canadian dollar could go as low as 69 cents
Nice.
against the US dollar in like November, it's no wonder that a business person that is savvy to where the markets are going is trying to protect himself a little bit by setting a pretty tight budget because we all know he has a bit of a buyout having to come up, right? With Paulo trying to get him out. So it may seem like people are being cheap, but it's also like they're just running their business. We have to understand that a bit and be a little bit lenient. I understand that, sometimes it might have to be a fight. Like, yeah, Ahokas maybe felt disrespected when he was offered basically the same money to coach AHL as he was making to coach down in junior hockey, but it could have also been the career path, right? If Manny looks like he's going to be a long tenured coach, if Ahokas thinks he's ready to maybe go into the pros, Bednar's kind of on the hot seat. If they don't get it done this year, I could see them moving on from Bednar. So, a Hocus could maybe see that path going, a quicker path to the NHL with Colorado. I don't know, but I kind of am being a bit patient when it comes to what's happening because just looking at the markets and things, I can appreciate there's probably other owners across Canada that we're not paying attention to, right? Like in Calgary and things. I'm sure they're cutting costs as well, but we're not savvy to that because we're not in those markets.
Canucksland. We had you had me on your podcast. You had me, I think it was your first guest ever on your podcast, right? You remember my big bold take?
Yes.
What
It was
was
the
it?
practice facility.
Yeah. Practice facility was going to be announced by September at the latest. Now, I'm not going to 100% say that it has been fully announced, but the Canucks did release a statement with regards to working with the City of Vancouver. And the statement said, the City of Vancouver and the Canucks Sports and Entertainment have signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, to explore a new hockey development facility with community amenities at the Britannia Community Service Center site adjacent to the existing Britannia Ice Rink. Is that pretty exciting for you?
I mean, finally we're getting a practice facility. I don't know if it's really excitement more than just like finally, like relief, kinda. Just get it going. Isn't it kind of ironic that a real estate developer can't get a practice facility built? So yeah, I don't know. It's really just for me, like, this is something that should have been done years ago. This is something that they should have been doing. I know I want to be the positive guy, but get your SH together and get this done. And I'm happy that they're doing it, but it should have been done a long time ago. And it's nice, but yeah, I'm just gonna repeat myself 5 times if I keep talking. Um, but then you see we'll get into it probably in a little bit, but you see the whole other thing that's getting added on top of it. Now, there's a bit of predicament when it comes to this actual practice facility and the one they actually want to make. I understand there's problems in Vancouver. There's a lot of problems with, property taxes and actually finding land to build um, places on, but I understand that they're going cheap, but you're still worth so much that you want to actually get this practice facility done. You should be able to get it done.
So the statement was released in conjunction with the City of Vancouver. So Ken Sim, who is the Vancouver mayor, said, "We are at the beginning of an important conversation about what is possible for Britannia. By exploring this opportunity together, we are taking a thoughtful approach to understanding how investment in sports infrastructure can also expand access to amenities, programming, and opportunities that benefit residents for years to come." And then following that up was Michael Doyle, who's the president of the Canucks Sports Entertainment Business Operations. And he said, "This partnership with our city represents a long-term investment in our community and in the future of hockey in Vancouver. Britannia is a neighborhood with deep roots and connection to the Aquilini family, which makes this particularly meaningful. We are committed to work with the community to explore opportunities for youth, family, and future generations to connect through sports." And then finally, Daniel Sedin, who is a co-president of Canucks Sports and Entertainment in the hockey operations, says, "A dedicated practice facility is an important step for our organization and our players. By working with the city to have this initiative to deliver new amenities for the community makes this extra special." So Dustin, 3 different views. You got the mayor, you got the president of the business side of things, and then you got the president of the hockey side of things. When you hear all those statements coming out, what jumps to mind for you?
I think any city would want to make a deal with a sports team and trying to create some sort of new state of the art facility for both community use and obviously and the NHL having their own locked side of it, right? And like Canucksland brought up the land issue. There's not a lot of land to build on in Vancouver. And if you do want to develop it, the red tape to get through getting permits and things for that could take years and years and years and years. We all know how difficult it is for even the governments to get things built in green space. So to have a just local business owner go, I want to build a big arena here in this forest, then I mean, I imagine it's going to be difficult to do, especially in British Columbia. And that's all as much political as I'll get into it. When it comes to the community involvement, I mean, you have to think that the other NHL teams, yes, they have their practice facilities, but they cannot be just sitting empty when they aren't being used, right? Like there has to be someone using that to take away some of the overhead of keeping the ice frozen. The operating costs of an arena are incredibly high with the energy that it takes to keep the ice frozen and keep the lights on. Like the bills don't get paid if the ice is sitting there empty. So there has to be some sort of agreement with minor hockey associations or high, you have like these premier hockey leagues like HPL or High Performance League and things in British Columbia now, different pathways for kids other than minor hockey. So I would imagine as this continues, there would be that sort of agreement written down. I know there's concerns, like you talked about at the top of the show, from minor hockey associations about ice use, but if you think about the NHL season and when hockey teams practice, if they're at home, it's usually when school hours are in. B, it's maybe once or twice a week during the season. Like there's not like this extraordinary amount of time to have practice all season long. Will it be nice for the guys to have somewhere to go to exercise or maybe run better practices throughout the summer? Yeah, but I I have a hard time believing that every NHL team in this league just has a facility sitting there waiting for the players to use at nauseum. It's got to be used by community organizations. I think this is a great step in the right direction. They did put out a rendering of like this facility is probably going to be 5 stories with I think 3 of the stories belonging to the Canucks or something like that for their needs. But we'll see. At least now we have an official signed document. It's been such a long process. Should have been years ago when land wasn't so expensive. 8 years ago when all the other teams kind of started doing it, it was like the 2018 year when it really became a thing. And I think it was like Vegas, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Chicago. There were a few US teams that started doing it, and then it just became this big thing. And then all of a sudden every team had to have one. So it's still a new fad, realistically in the overall age of the NHL, but it has become a hot topic and distraction, and it needs to get dealt with. And I think that is what the Sedins and Ryan Johnson understand, is we need to get this moving forward so we can stop talking about it.
Uh-huh.
Canucksland, do you think they can pull this off without adding another sheet of ice?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I as much as like I'm on the side of the minor hockey associations, they're gonna get it done without helping them out. They'll find a way to screw them over. It's big business. Um, just look at how, not to get too political, but just look how the country is and how the state of the economy is. It's all big business. Um, everyone like minor hockey leagues are probably gonna get screwed over in the meantime. So I'm just accepting that it's gonna happen.
Well, and Dustin mentioned the I guess it was Daily Hive put out the 5-story mock-up of what the building would look like, and then Kenneth Chan, who is on Twitter, tweeted out about the fact that there is ample space for a second ice rink. There is quite a large parking lot there on the side of where Britannia is, so there is a chance they could look at adding a second ice sheet, which would probably help out some of the local community too. And I think
Uh-huh.
both of you guys mentioned before we started recording today, the fact that ice sheets are so hard to come by these days for kids for
Yeah.
leagues, for all this kind of stuff. I think adding more ice would be a huge thing for the community. I think they can probably pull it off without, but having said that, it would be huge for the community to have another piece of ice for the kids, for the beer leagues. Cause I know even like regular viewers of our and you know, Headspace Hockey, Swerve and Irvin, he plays at Britannia, right? So that's like where his
Uh-huh.
beer league happens, right? And one thing that was announced, and to get political now, after you both didn't want to get political, the Liberal Party just announced what they're calling a generational investment in sports for Canadian sports. So they've
Yeah.
announced that they're going to be doing 755 million over the next 5 years for Canadian sports, and they're calling it the Spring Economic Update and the Athletic Assistance Program. So the money that's going to be going out, there's going to be $660 million over 5 years dedicated to national sports organizations to increase youth and grassroots participation, shifting to an ongoing commitment of 110 million annually. So that's going to be every single year they put 110 million into youth sports. There's also $43 million for athletic assistant programs. So they want to have more funding for Olympics, Paralympics, Paralympic athletes. They're going to have $50 million going out over 5 years to host major sporting events and upgrading legacy community infrastructure. Does that sound familiar? $50 million to upgrade legacy community infrastructure. And the reason I'm reading all these numbers out, because obviously this announcement just came out from the Liberal government. You know, they're getting ready for the next election because they're wanting to give out money, and every party will do that. I'm not trying to get political saying the Liberals will just do it. Every party will do this. Well, the main reason I'm bringing this up is because obviously with that amount of hundreds of $millions flowing out, if the Aquilini family and the Vancouver Canucks can find a way to use that money to better this facility, I think that is a huge part of why we finally got this announcement, because a lot of that money is going to be going towards this exact kind of project. So
Yeah.
it is very, very clear to me that that is a big part of this whole process, because it is not cheap, like you guys have talked about, to get this kind of project off the ground. So, but having, yeah, go ahead.
Especially with our provincial government being pretty tight knit with the Liberal government, I can actually see it being a little bit easier, more plausible to happen.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you, Canuckland, about the second ice sheet was because Vancouver Mining Hockey, a joint statement from the Thunderbirds, the Vancouver, there's 3 different Vancouver minor hockey associations that put out a joint statement. And essentially it says, representing more than 2,000 minor hockey players and families across Vancouver, the Vancouver Angels, the Vancouver Thunderbirds, and the Vancouver Minor Hockey Association support opportunities to renew and expand community recreation infrastructure throughout the city. However, we are disappointed by the report that the City of Vancouver and the Vancouver Canucks are exploring building a practice facility that could leverage an existing community rink at Britannia without creating desperately needed new ice capacity. So immediately they put out a statement right after the statement comes out from the Vancouver Canucks. Dustin, when you think about the Sedins and Ryan Johnson, you know they're going to see this statement. What is this going to do to this process, and what is going to be the Sedin reaction and the Ryan Johnson reaction to a statement from minor hockey in Vancouver?
I think it's a little bit unfair to hang that on the Vancouver Canucks that the City of Vancouver hasn't built more ice for their own minor hockey associations. I think it's a misdirected statement. I think, if anything, this is a good thing for minor hockey in Vancouver. They're getting an upgraded facility that isn't outdated, falling apart. Like, everything is going to be new. And I just have a hard time believing that the Vancouver Canucks want to do anything but make the community better. While we were having this chat, I just quickly looked up NHL practice facilities community use. And I found an article from the Hockey Writers 2018. I actually sent it to you in Messenger, Russ, while we were chatting. And every single one of them is their mission is to create a facility for youth hockey tournaments, ice skating, other public events in the facility. The Pittsburgh Penguins, yes, they built 2 ice rinks, but one specifically is for the public. The full range of medical services to both the Penguins and the general public. None of these NHL teams, like when this fad started, were locking out the public and locking out minor hockey associations. So to think that the Vancouver Canucks are going to do that, like I said, it seems a bit of misdirected rage. If this has been an ongoing issue for so long with the minor hockey associations, then they should have been banding together against the city of Vancouver themselves, trying to find a place to build a new facility or putting the pressure on Parks and Recreation to do that. It shouldn't be on a professional sports organization to just go out and build a city a new hockey rink. The only reason they need a practice facility in the first place is because they lease their rink out and rent their rink out so the public can have access to things like concerts and other performances within the building. Like, you're not just going there to watch hockey. How many people have gone to Rogers Arena or GM Place to watch a big name artist in a concert? Well, when that happens, guess what? The hockey team can't use the rink because in the morning, the ice is covered up. All the sound equipment, the floor seats, everything is brought in. So the team can't physically use the ice. That is the only reason that teams need these practice facilities, because it's becoming more and more common for them to not have access to the building they play in because that building needs to make money by having these other events come in.
So Canuckland, further to what Dustin said, reading from the statement from the Vancouver Minor Hockey Associations again, they say what Vancouver truly needs is a modern multi-ice sheet complex similar to the Seattle Kraken's community iceplex, a facility that provides 3 ice sheets and enables the city to host tournaments and other large-scale sporting events. When you hear that and heard what Dustin said, do you kind of agree that it almost sounds like the Vancouver Minor Hockey Associations are trying to leverage this situation to get themselves a new hockey rink?
Yeah.
Do you blame them though?
No.
No, you can't blame them. You got to shoot your shot, right?
Yeah,
but I'm
go
just
ahead.
saying, like, that's the kind of report that gets Vancouver Canucks fans in a frenzy.
Yeah.
Well, the roll bottom of it here. What's that? I'm just reading this. A site such as the Northwest Corner PNE grounds could potentially accommodate a facility like this here that includes a Canucks practice center, a new ice sheets, and community amenities, all within relatively modest footprint.
Mm-hmm.
That's all well and good, but is the city willing to allow the team to do that? That's the thing, is like the Canucks have been trying to work with the city to find property forever. And the city is the one that has gone, well, you can do it here. Right? It's the city leveraging the Canucks. And that's what's the frustrating part, is the city should be stepping up and building these facilities. And it's just, okay, well, now we have a big business to blame.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, at the end of the day, the Canucks announcement with the city was like, we're talking about it.
It's not
exactly.
Like
Still not until there's a shovel in the ground.
Yeah.
All right. Practice. We're talking about practice. It's August.
Yes.
We're talking about practice. All right. Canuckland. As I mentioned,
it's been a dry summer.
Summer Showcase, which is an actual summer hockey tournament. International teams from all over the world. Mostly the North American teams send their A teams. Sounds like Sweden, Finland, all these other teams have sent like C and F teams. So they're not exactly the best competition. But having said that, what have you seen? Because there's a number of Canucks prospects playing at the Summer Showcase. Highlights of these Canucks prospects. What have you seen so far?
I've seen Caleb Malhotra pull off some nice plays and show his quick hands and his really good decision making. I've seen Brooks Rogowski pop off and have a really good tournament so far, or showcase, I guess. And Braden Coots wearing the C, which is all I care about. I don't care about how he is on the ice. We know what he is on the ice. We've seen him so much. The fact that he has the C on his jersey just adds to it. And then Malhotra with the A, and then them playing on the same line. Ooh, Just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just been a lot of good things from this tournament for the Vancouver Canucks side of things.
Yeah, thank God someone paid for the streaming service. It looks like a couple guys have chipped in for it. So we've been able to get highlights off of Twitter. So go check it out. They
Uh-huh.
do have highlights on there. Dustin, how good would it feel to see? And after watching the highlights, it looks like Malhotra and Coots have been 1 and 2 centers for Canada at the Summer Showcase. How awesome would that be for the World Junior Championship to be happening in at around Christmas time and having our top 2 center prospects as the top 2 centers for Team Canada?
Well, I mean, if you ask half of Canucks fans, clearly there's nepotism going on. Caleb Malholtra has an A for Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not that good a player, right? Like, I don't know why we took him at 3.
Uh-huh.
But then you ask the other half that are normal people, and they're elated, right? Like to have that set up, to have those 2 of your first round picks back to back 2 years in a row playing 1-2C for Canada's national junior team. I know it's just the summer, and I know it's, not set in stone that they'll be there in December, but it's a pretty good chance that they will be when they have letters on their chest
Yeah.
for their country. You don't get those like for nothing when you go to the national team. Like there's a reason why those are put on your chest. And for Caleb Malhotra to have an alternate on his chest at 18 years old when he just turned 18 in June is nuts. Like this is why so many coaches that have had this kid talk about him having a trajectory that is insane. Like when he hits the NCAA, he'll just hit the ground running. He always just adapts and moves forward.
Yeah.
He's the hardest worker on and off the ice. That's what his dad taught him to be, and that's what he's shown to be, and that's the attitude that he brings. It's insane. And so to see that is great. Obviously Coots is Coots. I think that we'll see him in Abbotsford this year. He's outgrown the WHL. So we need to see, or the CHL, just juniors in general, and we need to see him in Abbotsford. And Sergowski, like Canucksland said, popping off. To see a man that big move with that much ease at 18, usually the knock on taller kids is they are a little bit awkward and don't look comfortable in their bodies. But man, oh man, to see him move the way he does and skate the way he does and shoot the puck the way he does after only been heavily focusing on hockey for a short number of years, transitioning from baseball of all things, it's pretty exciting. And you can see why the Canucks were pretty happy with their draft. They had most of these guys in their top 24, and they got Rogowski and Aram Olsen, who we haven't seen this summer, but was tops in the combine and most things. Like sneaky second round picks, man. So I'm excited to see where our prospects end up in September and what they can do with their seasons, because everyone we look at, they can skate hard, they work hard, they play the game the right way, and that's something we've been missing for a long time.
What excites you most about Brooks Rogowski, Canucksland?
Honestly, just everything that Dustin says, just moving with the size. Shot, you could work on. You could get a good guy to help you with working on your shot. Skating, especially at that size, it is something that a lot of players are able to adapt to and get to a good level in the NHL. I mean, what's the number one thing that we talk about when it comes to a player trying to move into the NHL? His skating. Is his skating up par? It doesn't just talk about your foot speed. There's multiple things. There's the first 5 steps. Are you able to be explosive from a standing still? How explosive are you with your crossovers? Are your edges good? Is your skating clunky? How smooth are you with your skating? And the fact that he can be such a good skater at that size with, I will say, a pretty big head on those shoulders as well.
A little
He
top heavy.
he looks really good. I know. That's what my dad pointed out at the development camp. It's like, that kid's got a huge head. And I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, yeah. It was all the
Looks like
more
a Funko
impressive.
Pop out there.
It does kind of look like a Funko Pop, but it works. He's got it. He's figured it out. And yeah, Going to Caleb Malhotra, I've been writing a video on Caleb Malhotra. I've gone, 1,225 words into my document so far, and been researching him heavy. And exactly what Dustin said. Every time he steps up from when he was in Chilliwack to moving up to Brantford, he worked hard and worked his way onto those teams because a big knock against him with the Chilliwack years was his offensive production. But it was really, really like the playoffs where he started to show up with like I think it was 17 points in let's see, I have it here. 17 points in 21 games, and he's playing lower lineup as well because he had to work his way there. He is a hard worker, and he'll show it once he moves over to the NCAA. That's what's exciting about Malhotra.
Yeah, I'm just excited in general to see essentially three of the best Canucks prospects showing very well for the country so far in this tournament. And the other thing
Mhm.
that excites me is thinking about the fact that we could technically, if it works out, a third line on the Canucks someday, which with Ilya Safonov at 6'4", Brooks Rogowski at 6'7", and Vilmar Ulrichsen at 6'6". You get all these guys together, that would be absolutely disgusting. And it works out too. Brooks
Mhm.
Rogowski is a right hand shot. Vilmar Ulrichsen is left. Safonov is a left too. So you could have the towers of power there as future third line. I think would be a good way to put those guys. And it would be a kind of situation where you could see a guy like Brooks Rogowski as a really good third line player who also gets some penalty killing, some power play stuff on the second unit, that kind of thing. So I think that's kind of how they project. I've seen a few interviews with Brooks Rogowski. They asked him why he's going back to the OHL again. He's not going to the NCAA, where we see a lot of that. And we've talked about that kind of thing on this podcast a lot and on the channel with regards to playing against men in the NCAA. It develops them a little bit in a different way. And they have a chance as well to only play weekends essentially when you're playing in the NCAA. So you have a lot of time to build your body. Brooks Rogowski in multiple interviews now has said, I don't need to build my body. I am already 6'7". I'm already 236 pounds. I need to develop my skills as a hockey player, and I'm going to get
Mhm.
way more playing time in the OHL. And I think that is another reason I think he's such a good prospect, Dustin, because it sounds like he understands his own development path very well.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what you recognize it, right? Like being that comfortable in his body. He worked hard to be that way. I mean, what was the nickname for Tyler Myers when he was here? Chaos Draft, because sometimes it just looks like he lost control of his limbs. And he's, 37 years old. Um, that is the big difference between Brooks Rogowski and some of the other bigger guys. I mean, Zdeno Chara, when he first came into the league, looked like he was going to just flounder out of the league into the AHL and never be seen again, turn himself into an absolute beast because he finally got comfortable in that big, awkward body. But hearing a kid understand that and know what he needs as a player is so huge at that age. Like that's a maturity that you just don't see. And I think that's one common thread that I've noticed with all of the Canucks draft picks when they were interviewed is a maturity level and their ability to speak in an interview and come across as smart young men. It has me really impressed with them and really excited for their development because they seem hungry, but they also seem like they understand what they need to do. They don't need to become Sidney Crosby. They don't need to become Connor McDavid. They need to become the top level Brooks Rogowski. I need to become the best Caleb Malhotra. I need to, right? Like they're not trying to be anyone but themselves. And that's something that's refreshing, something that I haven't heard from prospects that age in, it's pretty rare. So to have a number of them from the same draft year, I think the scouting department and Ryan Johnson did a very good job with their interviewing process. And I'm the more we see of these kids, the happier I get.
For Canucksland, we mentioned the top three guys essentially from. Well, actually, we didn't talk about Novotny either. I was going to ask you about Novotny because we haven't really gotten your take on the Canucks offseason in general. I've said this a few times to a couple friends, not on the stream. but I feel like Adam Novotny for me is a guy who could be a sleeper dark horse to actually make the Vancouver Canucks starting night roster just as a sheer result of another guy who they drafted who is so physically dominant already. He's already over 200 pounds as a young guy. He's young, but he is 6'1" and 200 pounds. Do you think I'm crazy when I say that kind of thing? And what do you think about Novotny in general?
I'm honestly, if you watched my reaction to when they drafted him, I went nuts. I thought he was going to go 12 to 15 range, maybe he dropped a little at 18, but we got him at 24. Yeah, already built out, really, really good player. Good shot, a lot of just a good mesh of skills. Seeing him at the development camp, it like yet again, it's like Malhotra. No one skill stands out, but that's a good thing in his case because of how skilled he is and a more complete, kind of like how Caleb Malhotra is. Um, Honestly, I'm not sure about making the Canucks out of camp. I think that sometimes we get a little excited when it comes to our prospects. Braden Coots is a big example of that. I'm a little skeptical when it comes to making the team out of camp, but if he goes and shows out and makes the team out of camp, I'm not going to complain. And I think that he probably is the best player to do it, with Malhotra going to BU.
Well, Canucksland mentions Braden Coots last year, Dustin. Could you see a guy like Novotny getting the Braden Coots treatment where last year makes the team, gets his like cup of tea 3 games, and then gets sent back down to junior to develop a little more?
No, he's only making this team if he deserves to be there. And that's the way that Ryan Johnson and Manny Malhotra operate, right?
Mhm.
Like if you've earned it, they're going to give you your chance. But if they feel like you will get a better understanding of what you need to become as a player back in the OHL, then they're going to send you back, right? Like that's just the way they're going to do it. Do I think he has a chance? Absolutely. He's one of those rare breeds that he's a left-hand shot, yes, and left wing is his first position, but he can comfortably play the right side. He doesn't look out of place when he plays either left or right wing. Like we've seen Brock Besser try and play left wing, and how well does that go? Not good at all.
Mhm.
And with a big question mark on someone like Jake DeBrusk, who's down the left side, that would leave a pretty big hole in our top 6 down the left. And that's where I'm like, okay, Novotny has that NHL body, depending on the work that he puts in this summer, and what they told him at draft. Like, if he comes into camp and absolutely cooks, you know, Malhotra will reward the work, but only if he feels like that player's ready for it. So I'm curious. Obviously, we're not seeing him in the showcase, the junior showcase, but I'm excited to see him at prospect camp, and then I'm sure main camp he won't be one of the late cuts. I'm feeling for sure.
Canucksland, was there anyone else from the Canucks draft class this year that really stood out for you that you're extra excited about?
Aaron Olson. He's the next on the list of the top four in our draft, and man, it's that shot. It's so mesmerizing how fast it's like he moves his stick like this, and it flies off the blocker into the crowd every shot. It bounces off the pads to the blue line. Like the power on that shot is insane. If he can get his skating to NHL par, being able to create space for himself in the NHL to use that shot, he'll be so lethal as a top nine, a little bit more offensive player. I like him a lot. I like the Ivchenko pick as well. Definitely seems like an Ian Clark pick, and they even panned to him in the video. I don't know if you watched the video of the behind the scenes. They
Yep,
pick Ivchenko and they say, "Clark, you got your guy." That was his guy in the draft, so that's an exciting thing to hear when he likes a goaltender specifically.
Yeah,
for sure. I
I'm
agree.
stoked with that. The whole draft class, right? Like a bunch of
Yeah.
big guys, a bunch of guys with like very specific good skills, but also a bunch of guys that just seem like they all have a good head on their shoulders. So
Mhm.
even with the way this team has been drafting, and I know A lot of people say a lot of things about the way the team has been drafting, but ever since it was taken over by Todd Harvey, when he got the full access to be drafting in 2022, you go
Mhm.
through, and we've done this a few times, you go through all the players that have been selected are developing just the way you would expect them to do. And some of them are developing way ahead of where they're at, right? Like Kirill
Yeah.
Kudratsev, seventh round pick, is a guy who has played NHL games. You got Ty Young, who is rounding into experience as the fifth round pick. Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, DPD, is playing NHL games as the third round pick, and he's only into his like third year of development with this organization. So lots of good stuff happening with the draft. So the more draft picks they can get, the better. And I just looked at it. Next year, the Canucks have 11 more draft picks going up. So we are very excited to see what this team can do moving forward when it comes to drafting. We didn't really get Canucksland's take on some of the other stuff that's happened. That was when it comes to signings and trades for the Canucks this summer, Canucksland. What was kind of like your highlights for the Vancouver Canucks as an organization?
Getting rid of the term that Marcus Pettersson had and turning that into a 2-year Jamie Alexiak deal at $5 million, which is way more easily retainable and can up value. Getting a first round pick on top of that, signing a guy to replace him for free, and then adding another draft pick. I mean, we did pay for Marcus Pettersson, but um, and then bringing back Luke Shen as a veteran presence and a culture guy, he's going to help bring the young guys. He's going to build the guys that we already assume are really, really cultured into better players for the culture. And then the AHL signings, I really like just building that system up. And what I really like is they brought in a lot of offensive AHL players who will help guys like Riley Patterson and Braden Coots produce a little bit more in the AHL and help their offensive production. And then Paul Cotter could be a key for Sherwood, could be, but you know you're wishing for a lot. But hopefully, I really like the shooting percentage that he has with the limited shots. Imagine he gets more shooting opportunities. Will that shooting percentage stay the same? The only thing that I feel like they did wrong or need to do is a DeBrus trade. That's it. That's the only thing I'm hoping for. And if that doesn't happen, if it's because teams the price just isn't there, that's totally fine with me. Wait till you get the price for him. You have the term to do so.
Yeah. It's just very exciting. I mean, we like to have dissenting views, obviously, on the podcast, but I think we got three guys on the screen right now. I have a spider crawling on me. What the heck? Oh my god.
Whoa!
Um, it's crazy that after probably one of the darkest seasons in the history of the Vancouver Canucks as a franchise. I mean, I was alive for the 98 season, right? Like that's pretty much as similar a season as I can remember. Dustin, for you is just rays of light coming down from the hockey gods on high to finally give us something to be hopeful about.
Oh, 100%. I remember the 98 season, man. My minor hockey league team won one of the contests to go to Adam Hockey Night and like got to play in the intermission, and then up in the big huge suite they had like PlayStations set up and like a hockey net you could shoot and stuff. The Canucks lost 10-1 to San Jose. So I I remember it like it was yesterday. They were horrible. But yeah, that was bad. But the dysfunction, at least they tried to play hockey. Like they had a coach who knew how to coach, at least, like Mike Keenan. He was an asshole, but he knew how to coach hockey. Adam Foote, on the other hand, oh boy, um, just so not suited to be a head coach in any way, shape, or form. And I think, I mean, the Kelowna Rockets knew that when they let him walk after barely a year and a half. And I honestly think it was a calculated move. It you knew Quinn wasn't coming back. You knew you needed to finish low to get a high draft pick, and you knew you needed to convince this owner somehow, some way that it's over. Like you got to rebuild. And when you put that poor of a product on the ice night in, night out, and the lack of wins at home, it was the dark timeline. It was sad. It was exhausting, but this summer has been such a relief. I am looking forward to training camp. Canucksland, I agree with you with a lot of the moves. I agree that the DeBrusque move needs to happen to really make like the offseason a true success. I feel that would be the A+ if they could move off that contract. I think come training camp time, maybe that's when a trade happens with him. Potentially we see a prospect pushing hard for a top 6 wing spot that pushes him out of the lineup. And then you're kind of more willing to take whatever you can get for him. If you tell him, hey, this guy's going to take your job, you're going to be playing 4th line minutes, he might go send me wherever. So there is some, jockeying a position that could happen with that. Some injuries could happen elsewhere in the NHL when training camp and preseason games get going. So that could open up even more of a market for Jake DeBrusque. And I just look forward to every week because it seems like just a little bit happens. It keeps us focused, interested, and it keeps me looking forward to the season coming up.
Yeah, we already talked about the new numbers out for the Vancouver Canucks. But Canucksland, I don't know if you saw this. There are some new numbers for the Abbotsford Canucks too.
Oh, no.
Austin Brimmer will now be wearing number 86. Berard, who was the all-star representative for the Canucks with one of the most beautiful breakaway goals that I have ever seen in my 30-something years of watching hockey. He's now going to be wearing number 79. And then Thompson, who we just got for Jet Wu, who played amazing down the stretch. And
Jet who?
Yeah. Woo! He will be wearing number 29. So Brimmer 86, Berard number 79, and Thompson number 29. In general, beyond just the new numbers for these guys, those are 3 of the young guys we're looking forward to watching. How excited are you just about the Abbey Canucks in general? Because it feels like they're going to be sneaky good because they have a full roster, a very young roster, and it sounds like they're going to have a very exciting team to watch too.
Yeah, just think about it. I don't think Brandon Coots is going to be in the NHL for a while. I think he gets a cup of tea, and I think the rules are easier now, right? With the 19-year-old, you could send him up and down in the AHL, so you're a little bit more flexible with that. So Coots doesn't have to start the season in Vancouver. I think he plays the majority of the season, and then your second line center, Riley Patterson. Those are 2 really, really good. You can even put Riley Patterson 1C, Coots 2C. It fits the scheme a little bit more with Coots being a little bit more defensive. And then you add a guy like Trey Fix-Wolansky, 46 points to 256 AHL games. Akil Thomas, who could be a pretty good offensive player down there. Just adding offense to the top of the lineup and adding more players to play in the AHL. It's really nice to see. Ty Mueller now as a 3rd-line center sounds really, really nice in the AHL. I'm excited for this team. The D-corps didn't really need much of an overhaul because you have a lot of those guys competing. It's going to be hopefully a fun year in Abbotsford, barring the insane injury stuff that happened last year.
300 plus man games lost in Abbotsford and in Vancouver. So, and I mentioned it's going to be a young team, but we still like a guy like Mackenzie McEachran still under contract for the Abbey Canucks for next year. So some veteran presence for them down there. And man, just Richard Seeley, I can't give him enough credit because he has been working very hard to make sure we have a full roster. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They signed 5 more players that are kind of like your ECHL, AHL kind of level guys that should bounce it back and forth between their newly renewed contract with the Kalamazoo Wings. So that's good to see. And man, just like, Bennett Shimmick, who we saw at the Prospects camp that me and you were watching together. Like so many of these young guys are going to be playing on this team. So it's just, excitement across the board, I think, for everyone who's involved in watching the Abbotsford Canucks and the Vancouver Canucks. And that's why you should make sure that you subscribe and like this podcast, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, because between myself, Dustin, Canucksland, we're always going to be keeping you up to date on everything that's happening for the Vancouver Canucks, everything that's happening for the Abbotsford Canucks. It's going to be a crazy season. Canucksland, did you know I'm going to be doing 15 double headers that is just Canucks? It's going to be the Abbey Canucks and the Vancouver Canucks back to back 15 times next year. Can you believe that?
I did see that. I saw that and I was like, "Ooh, a lot of work for me."
And then on top of that too, there's nights where the Canucks are playing in both Abbotsford and Vancouver, both the AHL and the NHL team. So there'll be intermissions where instead of, talking about whatever, we're just gonna go straight and talk about the Abbotsford Canucks. So we'll definitely be ringing your ear off. For you, Canucksland, what's happening on the channel? What can people expect who don't know who you are, who don't know what you do? What can they expect from the Canucksland YouTube channel?
Well, as of right now, the only consistent bit that I'll be posting is on Wednesdays where I'm doing gaming. Started a Be a Pro. I'm just going to be doing that until the new game comes out, and I'll be doing a new franchise mode, whether that's a history franchise mode, going with like an older roster, or doing the Vancouver Canucks yet again. I lost my save for the last franchise mode, and I just got too sad to do it again, and I didn't want to go all the way back. In terms of Mondays, I'm writing. As I said, I'm writing this video on Caleb Malhotra. I'm not going to say exactly what it is at the moment, but you can make assumptions. Those will be sporadic throughout the summer. I'll be trying to write as many of those as possible. And Fridays, once every 2 weeks, I'll try to do the Canucksland podcast on Fridays, and just so I could talk about the news. Because if I did it every week, I'd probably go insane.
Yeah, Canucksland, we're probably, I would say, 5 weeks away from Vancouver Canucks hockey because the showdown with the Seattle Kraken, which will be happening out in your neck of the woods. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out. They're going to be playing 2 games, probably the weekend of the September 12th, September 13th. They're going to be playing out in Abbotsford. So if you're going to be there, we'd love to have you on live from that event. I know Dustin might be down there too. So Dustin, if you guys are down there, I expect a live on location from both of you. We'll do the first double live on location from the Rogers Forum if that works for you guys.
I'm gonna do my best to be there. I can't wait to see some of these prospects in action, man.
Yeah.
And Canucksland brought up how Abbotsford might be sneaky good. They could get an injection on wing. Gabe Charot turns 20 on September 17th, so he'll be eligible for the AHL and not have to use up that 19-year-old player spot, which will go to Braden Coots. Let's be real. So the top 6 is going to be much stronger next year. As long as the injury bug doesn't get us again. I mean, you could see Vilmer Ulrichsen making a jump to maybe play top 6 minutes next year in the AHL levels. So, having him out there, him on the left side, Gabe Charot on the right side would be a pretty good wing combination, I think. But we'll have to see what happens. Just exciting times ahead. The summer seems to be flying by. I can't believe this is our 10th episode. I believe you said, Russ, 10th podcast episode already. So it feels like we just started it. But every week gets more and more exciting. I like this multi-guest approach, having live interviews with a third guest. It's really fun to be a part of those. So I look forward to the rest of the summer, and Canucksland, look forward to your content. Everyone out there, our followers and subscribers, make sure you like this podcast, but go on over to Canucksland, subscribe there as well for lots of Abbotsford Canucks content and more Vancouver Canucks content. Great stuff, and we got to keep sharing the love, as we've talked about many times already. With 650 being shut down in Vancouver and not getting as much Canucks content out there. YouTube is free if you don't pay for the premium. So it's nice to be able to have some sort of free media where you don't have to pay a streaming fee to get your Canucks content. We will be here for you all season. Russ has said it week after week. He has it planned out. We are going to be busy beavers. But we do it because we love the game, we love the Canucks, and we love our fans and our chat. They are the reason why we are so passionate about it. You guys make it worth it. So appreciate you listening as always. And Canucksland, it was great having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Really exciting. It was nice to finally just sit down and talk Canucks for a while because that's what I haven't done in a hot minute. So thanks for getting me off the couch, you would say, to talk the Canucks, the team that we love sometimes.
Yeah.
The love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hate that you love them, but you
Mhm.
always love them.
Yeah.
Canucksland, you're on like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Is there anyone else that can find you?
Facebook, but I don't really pay attention to Facebook, and that's about it. I've thought about starting a Twitter, but yet again, it's just like there's so much stuff that I'm doing already. That's another thing to add, and I'm like getting burnt out. So right now, I'm trying to post as much as I can to TikTok and Instagram, but that's been worse than my YouTube, which has been bad.
Yeah. Well, from someone now, this is my second off season doing Vancouver Canucks. August is the worst month, so I don't think anyone's posting.
And it's the
as
first
much, right?
day.
Yeah. Canucksland, I'll give you the last word. You can speak now directly to everyone who's listening and viewing this. What do you have to say to all of the perfectionists out there that are consuming this content right now?
We need to boycott Rogers. Let's organize a thing in front of Rogers Arena, a nice picket line like it's a strike. We're gonna have signs. We'll have a barbecue, and this isn't happening, but this is what I wish would happen. Also, Francesco Aquilini, if you're watching, you're cheap. That's about it.
Awesome.
There goes our press pass again, Russ.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for sticking around to the very end of the podcast. We appreciate you viewing and listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. Remember, this year, we are going to be live for the showcase of prospects between the Vancouver Canucks and the Seattle Kraken. We'll be live for all 4 preseason games. And of course, we will be live for all 84 of the Vancouver Canucks game this season, including 15 times in which we will broadcast during the Vancouver Canucks and the Abbotsford Canucks in the same stream. Yes, that's right. 15 Canucks doubleheaders this season. We will have live guests during the intermission. We'll have games. We'll have fun. It's going to be great. So make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with all your friends. And remember that my name is Russell Holiday. This is Nothing is Perfect. And make sure that you make good choices.
Nothing is perfect.